to the Sigmas of Unity Ground. I was asked to do that. Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for your presence here tonight. When I was a little girl, growing up in the northern suburbs of Perth, I often found myself caught between two worlds. One world was filled with vibrant Afghan hospitality, henna-painted fingertips, and the warmth of family dinners, and the language that danced like cultures. The other was a world where I quickly learned to explain myself, to translate, to shrink parts of who I am, just to fit in. Growing up, I didn't see many girls who looked like me. I didn't see many girls who looked like me on TV, let alone in politics. But what got me through, as I stand before you as a proud Senator for Western Australia, is the little voice inside your head, inside each and every one of our heads, that says, what if we tried something different? And I know that that voice lives inside each and every one of us. And that's what I want to talk to you all about today. And that is where young people come into the picture. And how they're not just the future. Whenever we're talking about young people, it's not just they are our future, but we are the now. Let's begin with courage to show up. Because every story of change begins with courage. Courage doesn't always look like standing at the podium, giving a marvelous speech, or marching in protests and raising flags. Sometimes it looks like raising your hand in class when your heart is pounding. Sometimes it looks like being the only girl in hijab at work and yet still choosing to be seen and to show up. At 17, I wanted to change the world, but I didn't know where to begin. My parents, like many ethnic mums and dads out there, were like, you are made for medicine. Well, we quickly learned that I faint at the sight of blood, so pharmacy it was. But where I truly thrived, outside the lecture halls, was in volunteering, mentoring, speaking, and organising. One of my earliest memories of advocacy was in my first year of university. We had this incredible pop-up cafe outside of Reed Library at the University of Western Australia, which was set to close due to refurbishments on the ground floor of the library. Now, there were no plans to reopen. There was no job security for the friendly staff, who were mostly international students working very hard to make ends meet. And I saw how much this pop-up cafe meant to the students. And I thought, why not try something? So my friend Chantel and I started a petition. Where could we go wrong? Every student that would walk through the library would ask them to sign our petition. Within a week, we gathered 650 signatures. We wrote to the Vice Chancellor. We shared stories of long study nights and how this small pop-up cafe would sustain us, and how people would walk across the campus to grab a coffee from these friendly faces. And a few months later, we won. The new plans included the cafe, and all staff retained their jobs. Now, some might say, that's a small win. Take it easy, bro. Like, why are you getting so excited? But to me, it was proof. It was proof that collective action actually works. That our voices really do matter. That definitely was the first time I realized that I didn't need permission to speak out. I didn't need permission to stand up for something. Because I know, like you, politics always seem distant, elite, inaccessible. But I know that around our kitchen table at home, watching my mum run a driving school for migrant women, helping them find freedom and independence behind the wheel, I saw leadership. And that's when I realized that real change doesn't come top down. It's community up. And yes, when you stand out in a crowd like a sore thumb, you'll be asked, how do you fit in all this? I remember a woman looking at me, looking at my skin, looking at my stuff, my name, and wondering aloud, how do you fit in all this? How did I belong? She probably expected broken English to come out of my lips. But instead I smiled and I thought, I reckon I'm doing just fine. What do you all think? And fast forward to 2022, I became the youngest senator in the 47th Parliament in our Australian history. I walked into those marble halls with my identity intact, with my head held high, and zero intention of diluting myself to be palatable and tolerable. That, my friends, takes courage. But you're probably wondering, well, courage on its own won't really do anything. And it's not enough. And you're right. It's curiosity, which is the catalyst that fuels that change. It's the spark behind every great movement that we heard of tonight. Ask yourselves, why is housing so unaffordable? Are First Nations people still fighting? Why are they still fighting for their rights on their own land? Why does our government claim to support human rights, yet completely refuse to call a genocide by its name in Gaza? These are uncomfortable questions. But that's the point. When young people ask questions, they do so. Shake up the foundations of power. And I know that that's exactly what you've been doing, whether at your schools, at your workplaces, whether we're looking at school strikes for climate, where students hold placards that are bigger than their backpacks, or whether we're looking at young people in Western Sydney using TikTok and Instagram to educate their peers and spread awareness about Palestine, resistance, realities that are left out of textbooks. Or athletes like Sam Kerr, who lead with grit and grace despite the pressure and injuries that she sustained. So your curiosity is the change and the fire beneath what we expect to see. And it's how movements are born. It's how injustices are confronted. It's how empires are challenged. And it reminds me of how I challenged the political establishment to lead with courage, with empathy and humanity when I crossed the door on a matter of principle, on a matter of conscience. It wasn't a political stunt. It was a moral decision. It showed that young people are not afraid to question authority. We're not afraid of standing alone, even if it means as long as it means we're standing for the right thing. But oh boy, does it come at a cost. But you know what? The cost of silence is far greater. And I must tell you that there is nothing more liberating than standing in your truth and fighting for justice. I refuse to be reduced to a name, a scarf, or a stereotype. And I will not be silent in the face of bigotry. As you've probably seen, I will call the haters and the racists and the politicians who thrive on fear to divide us. Because hate has no place in our society. Not now, not ever. And here's the thing. Being young is not about having lots of energy and optimism. It's about daring to dream differently. It's about venturing into endless possibilities around us. We're a generation of digital natives, and we've heard it tonight. We connect, create, and communicate with each other faster than we have ever done before. So when the government banned social media platforms, TikTok, yes, I noticed the Scooty said it, just no KA. When they banned Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and yet CB Mutual, although they've not decided, all under the banner of safety, you were right to question, where is the consultation? Where is the evidence? Where is the plan on implementation? You know what this told us? That fear was driving the policy, not foresight. That Band-Aid solutions were replacing meaningful long-term strategies. And that, once again, young people were excluded from the conversation. Yes, we care about safety and we want protection for our young people from online harm. But we also know that social media is not just entertainment. It's educational, it's resistance, and it's connection. Especially in our globalized world. It's as we've heard, where the Black Lives Matter was created and organized. Where live streams from Gaza showed the realities on the ground that mainstream news ignore. Where Indigenous voices share truth-telling in the most authentic and unfiltered way. Blanket bans with no transparency, no research, no roadmap is not safety, it's censorship. And it deserves to be challenged. And the proof is everywhere. Young people are leading every single day. We just don't hear it. I had Tamini, who as a teenager stood unafraid before Israeli soldiers demanding justice for her people. We have Brittany Higgins, who sparked a national reckoning on workplace safety and gendered violence. We have Josh Gilbert, a young Indigenous farmer who used ancient science and knowledge and married it with new science to protect our land and culture. And finally, we have this young, brave woman, Anjali Sharma, who took the Australian government to court over climate inaction. These guys are definitely not outliers. The speakers tonight are definitely not outliers. They are us. And they didn't wait for commission. They didn't want to wait for power or some politician to come and save the day. They channeled pain into purpose, and they chose to act. Now, I bet you're wondering, well, Fatima, those inspirational words are making you want to jump out of your seats and run a marathon. But how do we turn that passion into action? Fabulous question. I can read through the darkness of the room and know the online space that people may be watching this through. Here's my 6 hot tips. You better be taking notes because they might get quiz at the end. Number 1, get informed. Don't just stick with headlines and 30-second explainers. Dig deep. Read widely. Be critical about the sources you're getting your news from, and choose it with intense, meticulous credibility. Number 2, speak up. Whether it's through your online platform, social media, spread awareness, never underestimate the power of a well-crafted social media post or a story or a reel. And when you're in the offline world, make sure that you're engaging and you're asking questions in class, you're challenging stereotypes at the workplace, and you're having conversations with your friends. Change starts within our immediate circles. Number 3, build or join a community. Now, we know that change is not a solo journey. So go out there and find your people. Be it in student organizations and unions, youth groups, action groups. There are people out there who feel as passionately about things as you do. And let's say you can't find it. Well, you can build your own. Number 4, engage with the political process. The amount of times I've had to tell people, you can't be complaining about policies not serving your interests if you are not engaging with those policies in the first place. Make sure that you're registered to vote. It is compulsory in Australia, so if you don't want to cop a fine, you better be registered. Learn about your elected representatives. Write them an email. Ask them questions. Make sure that you understand what their policies are and demand better. Number 5, turn that outrage to outcomes. Now, if there is an issue that you feel really strongly about and it makes you feel angry, then channel that into a campaign. Start a petition. Start conversations and work groups around it. Send it to people, organizations. Send it to the Prime Minister. Use your skills to call out the injustices, be it through songs, art, speech, or collective action. And finally, and we don't talk enough about this, is take care of yourself. Know that advocacy is a marathon, not a sprint. You cannot keep giving from an empty cup. And rest is definitely a revolutionary act. And it is your form of ensuring that you don't break or you don't burn yourself out trying to advocate for something that needs you for the long run. And trust me, I've learned it the hard way of what it means to burn yourself to the ground. To every young person in this space, watching or listening, remember this. Don't let anyone out there tell you that you can't do it, or tell you that you're incapable, you're too loud, you're too emotional, you're too inexperienced. Because it is your idealism that this world desperately needs. It's your refusal to allow injustices to just be taken for granted. It's your courage to imagine a better future for us. Your curiosity to ask, why not us? So whether your path leads to politics or to protest, whether your path leads you to create an app that disrupts systems in a good way, or a poem that touches hearts, this country and this world is better when you show up. So don't just ask for a seat at the table, flip the bloody table. Or even better, build your own and make sure that you've got a microphone. Because the world needs to hear your voice. You are not future leaders. You are today's leaders, paving the road for tomorrow. You are coding, you are singing, you are painting, you are protesting, you're building, you're healing, you're living fully and completely. So believe in yourself and let your journey of courage and curiosity take you on an adventure. Thank you.